Hello, my name is Kelly Stevens. My pioneer is Erik Erikson, and he developed the theory of psychosocial development. Erik Erikson was born June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. Erik Erikson's birth came under unusual circumstances, as his mother, Carla Abrahamson, was from a prominent Jewish family in Denmark. She had moved to Germany due to conception out of wedlock, and she studied nursing. Very little is known about Erikson's biological father other than he was a non-Jewish Dane, Scandinavian, and he died 4 months after Erikson's birth. His mother's estranged husband, Valdemar Samuelson, was a stockbroker who fled the country to escape punishment. He left Erik's mother one day after their marriage, and this is whom Erik was given the surname of at birth. His adopted father, Dr. Theodor Homburger, was a pediatrician who married Erik's mother when Erik was 3 and adopted Erik at the age of 8. Erik Erikson's early life was a target of bigotry. He was tall, blond-headed, blue-eyed, and raised in a Jewish religion. In Temple school he was teased for being Nordic, and in grammar school he was teased for being Jewish. He struggled with identity as his mother gave her new husband and other children more attention than him. He never felt he belonged as he was treated different from the other 3 half-sisters in the household, and he learned he was adopted at the age of 8. After high school, Erik Erikson chose not to go to college. He traveled around Europe studying art and other languages. He settled in Vienna, where he painted children's portraits, had the privilege of meeting Sigmund and Anna Freud. There Anna began teaching him, and he earned a certificate from Vienna Psychoanalytic Society. Sigmund Freud's theories have a great influence on Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. He graduated from the University of Vienna with a teaching degree. Outside the United States, Erikson was employed as an art teacher at the Psychoanalytically Enlightened School, which was started by Dorothy Burlingham and Anna Freud. In 1930, Erikson married Joan Surson, a Canadian dance teacher and artist. Together they had 4 children, 2 of whom which were born in Germany and 2 in the United States. Due to the rise of the Nazis, Erik Erikson moved to the United States in 1933, and he became a United States citizen in 1939. When Erik Erikson moved to the United States in 1933, he started a private psychoanalytic practice, which would be the first of this kind in Boston. He was also a research associate at Harvard Psychological Clinic while he was working on a graduate degree in psychology. In 1936, he discontinued his studies with no degree. Over the next 2 decades, he pursued interest in human development, performing research at Yale and Berkeley, and continued his private psychoanalytic practice. In 1960, he became a professor of human development and lecturer in psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, and in 1970 he retired from teaching. Erik Erikson had many claims to fame. His most prominent was the humanist theory of psychosocial development. He was listed as number 12 of 100 most prominent psychologists of the 20th century on the American Psychological Association list. He wrote many books. His most notable include Insight and Responsibility, Identity Youth Crisis, and Gandhi's Truth, which earned him a Pulitzer Prize and a national award. Erik Erikson's personal life made him famous for coining the term identity crisis. Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development had many influences. Most notably are Sigmund Freud's work of the theory of psychosexual development and Anna Freud's work Application to Psychoanalysis in Children. Erik Erikson divided lifespan into 8 stages, each of which involved a psychosocial crisis, which is the relation between an individual's emotional needs and the social environment around him or her. He believed that personality develops in a predetermined order. Each stage has a crisis to be resolved. Each stage builds upon the previous stage, and if the crisis is not completely resolved, then it is dealt with throughout life. Erikson's theory included 8 stages of psychosocial development. Stage 1. Issue: trust versus mistrust, birth to 18 months. During this stage, infants develop a basic trust in the world. Stage 2. Issue: autonomy versus doubt, 18 months to 3 years. Toddlers desire to do things for themselves or they begin to doubt their abilities. Stage 3. Issue: initiative versus guilt, 3 years to 6 years. Children learn to initiate plans and carry them out or they feel guilty about their independence. Stage 4. Issue: industry versus inferiority, 6 years to 12 years. Children learn pleasure of applying themselves to tasks or they feel inferior. Stage 5. Issue: identity versus role confusion, 12 years to 18 years. Teenagers work at refining a sense of self by testing roles and integrating them to form single identity or they become confused about who they are. Stage 6. Issue: intimacy versus isolation, young adulthood. Young adults struggle to form close relationships and to gain the capacity for intimate love or they feel socially isolated. Stage 7. Issue: generosity versus self-absorption, middle adulthood. The middle-aged discover a sense of contributing to the world, usually through work or family, or they feel a lack of purpose. Stage 8. Issue: integrity versus despair, late adulthood. Upon reflecting on his or her life, the older adult will feel a sense of despair or failure. During Erik Erikson's late life, he wanted to write an autobiography, but his memory and his elegance were failing. He moved every few years, continuing the pattern he had done all his life. He died in Cape Cod, Massachusetts in 1994 at the age of 91. He was unable to write or remember hardly anything at this time. His wife Joan continued to write about life cycle until her death 3 years later. Erikson's theory has great influence on teaching practices today. Teachers who apply psychosocial development in the classroom create an environment where each child feels appreciated and comfortable learning new things and building relationships with peers without fear. Teaching Erikson's theory at different grade levels is important to ensure that students will obtain mastery of each stage in Erikson's theory without conflict. There are specific classroom activities that teachers can incorporate in their classroom during the 3 stages that include school-age children. At the preschool level, teachers want to focus on developing a hearty personality. This can be done by getting to know the students and find out what they are interested in and create projects that incorporate their area of learning. Can let the students be in charge of the learning process when participating in classroom projects. Point out and praise students for good choices and good behavior. Offer continuous feedback on completed work. Do not criticize or ridicule students in front of the other students. And find a private place to talk with the student about their bad choice or bad behavior. Do not punish students for trying something that may have a different outcome than you expected, and teach fairness and sportsmanship by incorporating physical activity. At the elementary level, teachers should focus on achievement and peer relationships. This can be done by making and incorporating a list of classroom duties, developing, discussing, and posting the classroom rules, and be sure to include the students in the decision-making process when discussing the rules. Encourage that mistakes will be made, which is often how we learn, as striving for perfection is not as important. Encourage students to help other students who are struggling academically or socially, and do not allow bullying or ridicule from one student to another, and recognize student success to build confidence. At the middle school and high school level, the focus should be on building identity and self-esteem. This can be achieved by treating all students equally. Do not show favoritism to a certain group of students based on gender, race, academic ability, or socioeconomic status. Incorporate life skills into lesson planning to encourage self-confidence and self-sufficiency. Bring in guest speakers and incorporate curriculum from as many areas as possible to expose students to as many career choices as possible. Encourage students to try different approaches to problem solving to develop confidence. Erik Erikson did much to move ahead the thinking in the area of psychosocial development, although there were several critiques and limitations to his work. These include his ideas were from his personal notes and experiences, which made them difficult to test. They were limited to his time and his culture. Most of his studies were males, and few details about how to successfully resolve conflict and move from one stage to the next. Throughout his 8 stages, 3 ways that Erik Erikson's theories have contributed to learning include: First, Erik Erikson took the things he learned from the Freuds and shifted the focus from a child going through the stages of sexual development to a child going through the stages of identity to adulthood and beyond. He helped us understand that identity formation is important in becoming a productive, happy adult. Erikson also taught that personality is shaped over one's whole lifetime. Experiences later in life can lead to the healing of problems that may have occurred in early childhood. Third, he helped us focus attention on the innate, the need to feel loved and connected and respected by other people. Erikson said, "Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn that, the better for us all."